Get in, nerds. We are playing Burden of Command. We are getting started after the Battle of San Fratello. We had a little crash during our previous attempt to record this, but I submitted the bug report, and actually it turned out that the most recent bug fix, the most recent patch that was scheduled, was already designed. The one that was trying to solve the issue that was causing this. That crash, the bug that was causing that crash was 1.0.19. So work on this game is still ongoing. As you know, our primary frame of reference is Victoria 3, and Lordy Lou has that game crashed my computer a lot of times. And this is my first crash I've come into in Burden of Command in 30 hours of gameplay, whereas Victoria 3, like, you've seen the number of episodes in the Brazil and the Russia and the legitimist trance runs that needed to be split in half due to crashes. These things happen. Burden of Command is still holding up very well against a game with a much larger studio. A game by a much larger studio. These things happen. This is a small project, and they're fixing it every day. So let's get into it. I'm going to try to get in to right at the end here. So I think this will get us where we want to be. Because I want to get into the role-playing section after the battle, and just make sure that it loads properly and we wind up where we want to be. Burden of Command would have been impossible without our dedicated volunteers and playtesters. That's a good loading screen. It's good tip. Good tip. San Fratello. August 8th, 1943, I think. August 4th, 1943, Sicily. My bad. Why did I think it was the 8th? Not sure. Alright, so this is the end of the mission.
This is the real stuff. Captured German film showing their automatic weapons in action. These are the weapons we're up against in the European and Mediterranean theaters of operation. But we've captured not only the film, but the actual weapons and ammunition. Just what are they like? How fast and how accurately do they fire compared to our weapons? And most important to you, how do they sound? Well, here's their 34. Now they're 42.
Hitler's buzzsaw.
And here's their Schmeiser.
The cacophony of combat fades. Mission, major victory, all 8 objectives secured. Men, minor victory, casualties less than 20%. Figures in field gray boil out of the doorways as your men advance down the narrow streets of Sant'Agata. Long bursts of submachine gun lash at your men and force them to cover. And as the firefight rages, other Germans fall back with machine guns and crates of ammunition slung under arm. Like clockwork, they turn around every dozen steps, letting loose a fresh hail of bullets before seeding another intersection, another alleyway, another block to your men. It takes you a while to even realize what you're seeing. This is how the German army runs away. Your company chases the enemy amid tight-packed houses and shadowed streets. Those soon give way to orchards and country lanes. Then suddenly the men you're facing aren't Germans but men in olive drab with 3rd Division patches on their shoulders, the forward elements of the 30th Infantry's landing force. Their salt-encrusted uniforms and smoke-smudged features tell you all you need to know as you identify yourself and advance to their position. They're relieved. Hell of a job out there, Captain. Colonel Heinches remarks to you an hour later as he moves the rest of the battalion up. Colonel Bernard, the landing force commander, he wanted me to tell you he appreciates how hard your men fought to get to the beach so quickly. He looks out towards the east for a moment, then nods approvingly. Now you and your men can get some rest. You've all more than earned it. That night as your company makes camp near the churned-up beachhead, the conversation around the fire inevitably turns the topic of the day's battle, or rather, the men who had faced you. Let me see, is this Dearborn? Yeah. I would not have imagined that men could fight with such tenacity, such discipline, Dearborn remarks with a tone that mingles disbelief and admiration. God in heaven, he concludes with a shake of his head, they're like Frederick's Prussians, come again. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, Thompson adds. To think that anyone could keep fighting them after everything we threw at them. Keep fighting after everything we threw at them. How do we even beat men like that? Well, we sure kicked the spit out of them today, didn't we? Stern declares vehemently. All we gotta do is hit them hard enough and often enough, and they'll break. Just like the French in the 80s. We just gotta hit them harder than those bozos, that's all. We just gotta hit harder with these bozos, that's all. Rao is silent as he considers the distant hills where his former countrymen lurk. When he does open his mouth, it is to mutter a bit of German. Much has changed. Much remains. Your officers and men need reassurance and direction for the next time they will fight the Germans. We have justice on our side, reply idealistically. They're tough, but they're not bulletproof, reply zealously. We'll find out how to outsmart them, reply favoring cunning. We're really in the big leagues now, reply professionally. Or to beat them, we need to be just as disciplined, reply favoring discipline. I'm going to reply favoring discipline. Lieutenant Rao leans forward to interject something but then falls silent. Without comment, he withdraws and waits. Rao advances discipline, okay? I must question the good any such discipline will do. Dearborn objects. Perhaps that time and energy will be better spent trying to outmatch the weaknesses of the German soldier, rather than playing to his strengths. Yeah. Dearborn's always got an opinion. He advances his discipline, and he gets some combat fatigue and realism. We don't need to waste our time marching up and down a parade ground, Stern interjects. We need to prove that any one of us is better than any one of them. We need to prove that all that master race stuff is just bupkis. If our guys can beat their fear out of the Germans, the Krauts themselves will be easy. If our guys can beat their fear of the Germans, the Krauts themselves will be easy. Stern advances professionalism, his combat fatigue plus 20 and realism plus 2. I'm not sure I like the sound of what you're saying, Captain, Thompson says dubiously. I'm all for being prepared, but we don't want to make the men get used to blindly following orders. Isn't that how the Germans got into this mess in the first place? Thompson advances. Cunning! Nice! I did want you to have cunning. Maximum attained is combat fatigue plus 20 and realism plus 2. The talk continues as you consider not what your officers need to hear, but what you yourself have seen and learned after you drove the Germans off and swiftly linked up with the beachhead. Losses were relatively low, but the enemy had also planned to withdraw from the beginning. We have to keep after them. Acquire zeal, 10 combat fatigue and 1 realism. They held the advantage for now. Advanced cunning. They emulate steel, so do we. Advanced discipline, 20 combat fatigue, 2 realism. I'm going to advance cunning. I don't need any extra combat fatigue right now. They held the advantage for now. Advanced cunning. The Germans called the tune this time because they could dictate when they wanted to retreat. It won't always be like that if we strive to make it otherwise. Cunning advances maximum attained. Okay, so we're maxed out on cunning. Wonderful. Maximize any mindset to greater than 4. Yes! Oh, yeah. Words give way to exhaustion. Sea rations are gulped down, and everyone withdraws to bedrolls for an exhausted, weary consensus. You check the map one last time before lying down. Regiment made an advance of 3 miles, a quick trip in a fast car, but this stretch was gained only after a day of hard fighting. The map is cased back up for the night. Sleep beckons and the Germans aren't going anywhere. Tomorrow will be another hard fight. All right. So this should take us to the Age Your Men screen. Beautiful. Or the screen that lets you get to the Age Your Men screen, which we're going to do. We've taken a lot of hits, and we still only have 8 replacements. This is bananas. Wow, this is pretty rough. Stragglers returning for 3rd squad. Because they got surrendered. All right. So I think I'm just gonna spend as much prestige as I need to get experienced replacements into these units. Gosh, I don't have what I want to have here. Their command is really being stingy with our replacements. So now the question is, I've got 2 replacements left once I restore these units. I think I'm going to... Oh god, and 3rd squad has also beat the heck up. This is really bad, friends. I got 3 squads that have 3 replacements down. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. Lieutenant Rao's 3rd squad, I'm not going to reinforce. Because I'm going to get... I'm going to get Lieutenant Thompson's first 2 squads fully reinforced. I don't know what gray... Oh, gray just means I'm out of replacements, I guess. Next, Lieutenant Rao's 2nd squad has a point of stress. I'm going to shell out the 2 loyalty to get that reduced. Now, from here, I've got a little bit of loyalty and prestige to play with. So the question is, how do I spend it most productively? I could get Dearborn's 2nd squad up to 4 stars. That could be worth it. I could get Rao's 1st squad up to 4 stars. That could be worth it. But there's a strong temptation to put more points into Lieutenant Stern's MGs and mortar. But I also want to keep hold of some prestige, because I want to be able to afford experienced replacements as time goes on here. So I think I'm actually going to wait. I think next time I'm going to be a little bit more conscientious about not taking too many hits, and maybe if I get an opportunity to end the battle early, I just might, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 unreplaced casualties. I'm only getting 8 replacements per battle, so I can't keep taking hits this way. So that's what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna need to hold on to this prestige to keep my replacements experienced. So that's all we're gonna do for now. Gosh, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. All right, let's go ahead and continue our journey. Once activated, a unit no longer requires its officer for that turn. That's true, but it won't be able to activate again in a later leader turn if its officer doesn't have any points left. Alright. This will probably be a long role-playing section here. No, maybe not. $1 Million Ridge. It depends on when in history this is. August 10th, 1943. Alright, so about a week later, I guess. I thought it was 8th on the other. Okay. Alright, we got a lot going on here. Hey, back to
Wherever the 7th Infantry went, we went. I mean, if they needed us to go out and clean a mine, say they got pinned down by a minefield or something like that, we'd have to go out in front of the infantry and pick up that minefield and clear it out. We wouldn't take the whole minefield, we would clear a path through for them.
August 1943, Sicily, bridge in the sky.
Fallschirm Panzer Division, Hermann Goering, would be seeing far too much of them in the days ahead.
Fallschirm Panzer Division? They're dropping tanks out of the sky? The Germans make a stand at the next crossroads, the next river, the next ridge. Time and again, Nickel Company is rotated forward to flank the foe. The enemy fights hard for a few minutes or a few hours and then slips away. Stress. A black cloud on a clear day. The next night, First Sergeant Grant escorts Corporal Becker into your command tent on the reverse slope of the ridge. The little assistant squad leader is all but bursting to talk. "Sir, it's about the lieutenant," the corporal says. "He started writing the condolence letters, all of them, tonight." "Thompson's getting ahead of the curve, Captain," First Sergeant Grant notes. "We won't be shot at for days." This isn't good. That's fine, he can set his own pace. Thompson and Captain, combat fatigue -10. Guess I'd better see what's going on with him. Stress scene, Thompson may recover a lot of combat fatigue. I should check up on him, it's the right thing to do. Stress scene, Thompson may recover a lot of combat fatigue. So he's writing He's writing condolence letters for men who are not dead yet, is the issue. And that's not healthy behavior. I should check up on him. It's the right thing to do. Yeah. You find Thompson on the reverse slope of the ridge, seated on his bedroll with a clipboard for a desk. He set pen to paper with a frown of intense concentration. This doesn't look like an act put on him by the men or you. Beside him lies a familiar stack of condolence letters with an unfamiliar Colt pistol for a paperweight. I wonder where all the paper went. Hey, busy? Wait patiently. Wonder where all the paper went. I'm verbose. I'll say things. Thompson looks up coldly from his labor. His eyes tighten as he regards you. Sorry, Captain, he says at last. I'm in the middle of something. Condolence letter sent by Robert W. Schmidt, Donald Mellon's commanding officer. You can read this if you'd like. I am not going to. How many of those do you have to do? You could use a desk. Corporal Becker's worried about you. Take a seat beside him. I'm just going to sit down. The two of you sat together a while, saying nothing but watching the war go by. At last, Thompson sighs. My father used to do that for me, he says. Didn't really help back then. He says, eyes distant. Tell me about these letters. Now might not be the best time for this. If the men see these, it might worry them. What's your plan for these letters? Get to the bottom of things. If the men see these, it might worry them. Morale? Thompson asks. He absently shifts the pistol. A pretty two-toned affair with just a hint of brown on the finish. This is for morale, so the men will know they'll be remembered, so that their folks will... He shakes his head, unable to continue. Writing these letters all at once affects morale. Thompson lets out a sigh. Someone always takes things the wrong way. I'm doing them all at once because now's the time I've got to do them. But I guess it does look bad. So, tell me about these letters. Well, I write them, Thompson says. When it becomes clear that doesn't cover things, he adds, one for each soldier in my platoon who's going home. Sometimes they're just mangled up, a pin shy or finger short. Those letters are easy. They'll be able to tell their folks themselves. I'm just putting in a good word for them. But the others... He looks away, eyes fixed on a distant horizon. I tell him how it happened, who he was and what he was doing. I try to fit in a few details about who he'd become, what he'd gone through. Finally, I tell him their boy died for something, that ending this war will be worth it. And that's it, really. It's a lot to fit on one sheet. I found that men can write good letters. Their friends could write the letter. What would make this easier for you? This is like a modern answer. I don't necessarily want to say this because I don't think he thinks this should be easy. It's a lot to fit on one sheet. Yeah, well, you figure out what's important enough to say and you don't have a lot of space to say it in, Thompson says. I've heard that before, but then I also liked reading Hemingway. Can I ask about the pistol? Sure, Thompson says and glances over briefly at the weapon. Private Ferrier found it somewhere. Gave it to me for safekeeping. Don't worry, I'll give it back to the Army eventually. But right now it's helping out. Kind of comforting, it being a paperweight. You got an odd sense of timing for this. Not nearly as much as the other guys, Thompson says, but this isn't for me. It's for the folks back home, waiting for their sons and husbands to come back, hoping their blue star won't turn to gold when they get that telegram. He looks down at the solitary letter he's... Sorry, to be clear about this, Blue Star families are the families of serving soldiers, I think. Gold Star means the families of soldiers who have fallen. I believe that's the distinction. This is something that was much more common even a couple of decades ago. Like, it's weird as an American myself that I don't actually know for certain what this means, but I think that's the distinction. He looks down at the solitary letter he's finished, weighted down by the pistol atop it. My letter should be there with it, to give them something to hold on to. Like I was there to tell them that their son died a hero, doing what I told him. That's our burden. Yeah, they should know what happened. I lay off until we get in office. You write each and every one. You make good and bad choices, just like at Palma. Yeah, they should know what happened. Yeah, Lieutenant Thompson says, nodding along with that sentiment. They've got to know something more than just the boilerplate horse feathers the Army sends them. Let's discuss your plan with these letters. I'm going to send them along, Thompson says. That's what you do with letters. They won't get past the censors intact. There are regulations for letters home. Good plan. Don't burst this bubble. These won't get past the censors intact. But you can get around that, can't you, Captain? Thompson asks, his voice rising toward pleading tones. You can say you censored things and they'll believe you. I'd never lie like that. Yeah, I'll do it. Test professionalism and idealism. Thompson may reduce combat fatigue. Sure, sounds good. Lie. Test cunning. Thompson may reduce a little combat fatigue. I have to censor those letters. Test idealism and doctrine. Thompson may gain combat fatigue and realism. Ooh, what an interesting outcome. Ooh. Professionalism and idealism. Interesting. This is cunning. So this one's got the higher opportunity to lose combat fatigue, and I think that's worth it. On the other hand, you can say your sense of things and they'll believe you. On the other hand, the truth is, I'm not gonna. Like, I'm cunning. I don't give that much of a flying one about our superiors, but like, I think this is the right call. I think Thompson is at core an idealist, and me just saying like, nah, man, I'm not gonna lie about this. Like, is I think he'll understand that, and I think he'll appreciate it. As a soldier, I'm not gonna. I haven't lied to him, and I am not going to lie to other people. Like, we'll lie to the enemy all we like, but however we want to do. Not white flag ruses and stuff like that, but you know what I mean. But like this is we're out here to do the right thing. I could never lie like that. Oh, Thompson says, I guess you're right. I'm sorry for asking. Get to the bottom of things. You've talked to Thompson extensively. He's a good kid, even if his sense of humor isn't quite there yet. Serious and driven. He chose to tackle those letters head on, all while working quietly. Echoes of his father. I understand what you're doing and why. Test compassion. Thompson may lose combat fatigue. You have to write these, but don't let it consume you. Test doctrine. He may reduce combat fatigue. I know you'll do what's right. Test idealism. He may lose combat fatigue. Get this done. Test zeal. He may lose combat fatigue. Figure out a better way to do this, okay? Test cunning. Thompson may reduce combat fatigue. I've got hella cunning. So I'm unclear when it says test whether I'm being tested or he is. I think I am in this stage. Because I think it would say Thompson tests whatever if it were that. So I'm going to say figure out a better way to do this, okay? Hope so. Thompson says, well, think about it. Well, I'll think about it, Captain. He idly scoops up the pistol, placing it into his musette bag. The letters that had been pinned down beneath it stay put. Thompson's combat fatigue minus 50. Yeah. Thompson signs his name at the bottom of the letter beneath the word condolences. You can only hope he'll be writing a letter. You won't be writing a letter for him in the days ahead. Before you know it, a new day dawns, same as the last. 9th August, 1943. Your boots whisk through the tall grass as you head toward 3rd Battalion's command post for the usual briefing. This time there's a single massive tent there instead of a cluster of smaller ones. Stranger still, the canvas is not U.S. issue. PFC Patterson tilts his head sideways as he examines the canvas, trying to do what a good guide is supposed to do. Well, that's a sight, Captain. How so, Patterson? Had the interest. How so, Patterson? It's a big tent, Patterson replies. Maybe I'm just too used to sleeping in ditches. Sounds like you did that before enlisting. Sarcasm -1. Morocco spoiled you. Sarcasm +1. Eventually you'll sleep in ditches across Europe. I think this is really funny. Morocco spoiled you. Sarcasm +1. Little bit, Patterson admits. Everything was so cheap there, at least compared to where I've been. Here? They don't have much worth buying if you can't pull it off a tree. The guard at the front flap nods as you approach. After a perfunctory review, he opens the flap for you. Patterson, of course, stays outside. Hopefully he'll stay out of trouble. Meaning of general orders. A. Number 1, I will guard anything within the limits of my post and quit my post only when properly relieved. Guarding is serious business. Page taken from FM 22.6 Guard Duty, Chapter 4, page 2. Yeah, guarding is serious business. In a legionary's life, you have a situation where you catch a guy sleeping on guard duty, and I think back then, and obviously it's not the Iron Age anymore, but in a legionary's life, I think if you get caught sleeping on guard duty, you get killed. Or something like that. It's real bad. Anyway, let's continue on forward here. The interior of the tent is crammed full of army desks and men, not just from S2 intelligence, but S3 operations too. Usually those are under a separate canvas. Lieutenant Colonel Heinches leans over a sand table at the back of the tent, gesturing at some terrain feature with a sweep of his hands. Across from him is a dashing figure you haven't seen in weeks, Captain Cordell Boston of the vaunted Rangers. Rangers must be nearby. He seems to be prospering. Guess he got his recruits. Rangers must be nearby. This is clearly not a social call. I'm afraid your Colonel Darby is incorrect, Heinches says to Captain Boston as you approach. Our engineers have determined the slope here is not passable, too steep and rocky. El Darbo saw with his own eyes last night, Captain Boston replies. If he thinks it can be done, stay silent and listen. One day I'll be a battalion commander. Oh, the squabbles of lofty officers. Do that last one. Ah, Captain, Lieutenant Colonel Heinches says, the moment he notices you. Good to see you again. Regiment has a plan for pushing the Germans back toward Messina. The new plan is the old plan, Captain Boston adds sourly. Heinches does not correct him. Before we get going, what's with the tent, sir? Artillery support, amphibious assault, paradrop, frontal assault. Before we get going, what's with the tent, sir? Oh, this? The division's foisting it on us, Heinches says, as he sweeps a hand at the S2 and S3 men, now concentrated in a single space. They call it the war room. Some smartass on Truscut's staff thought it'd be a good idea to have the staff section share office space and maps. Ideas there'll be fewer screw-ups. The canvas is a good design, even if it is British, Boston remarks. Well, we are an 8th Army, Heinches counters. What works for Monty's guys won't necessarily work for us. British standards are different? I see. Seems effective. British standards are different. Could hardly be otherwise, Boston replies. Still, I'm going to suggest Colonel Darby copy this. Not that it'll help with tomorrow's attack, rushed as it is. Rushed? Artillery support, amphibious assault, paradrop. What about artillery support? There will be artillery, but the ridge we will be ascending will make the use of it less than optimal. But at least we'll have Cord and his Rangers on our left. Invasion, artillery, and assaults, Captain Boston says, as if ticking off a list. 2nd Battalion of the 30th will make another shore-to-shore assault. Once their boots are dry, they'll cover the road while the rest of the 30th, the 4th, and the Rangers cross the Zepula River and assault Naso Ridge. So where are we here? San Fratello is where we just were. Across the Zepula River, so that's got to be this. Assault the Naso Ridge, which I don't see on here. Again, this is another map that's been upskilled using an AI tool, so some of these words have gotten kind of goofed in that, because image AIs are not good at that. The sand table shows the avenue of approach. It isn't pretty. All uphill and without much cover for part of the way. Even without using assault transports to tip your hand during the river crossing, the 30th is going to have to hold for a long time. The problem is the enemy isn't going to be fooled twice. They'll be expecting this, Colonel Heinches remarks. We'll have to hit them as hard as we can. Since the two of you know each other, at least a little, I've assigned Nickel Company to the extreme left flank, going up the hill to Marco there. They'll be closest to the Rangers and Captain Boston's own company. He's given the okay on that as Colonel Darby's proxy, but I want to hear from you whether you have reservations. It'll be an honor to fight beside the Rangers. I'm sure we'll do fine there. It will do. I have reservations, but obviously I don't have the opportunity to tell him. It'll be an honor to fight beside the Rangers. Indeed, Captain Boston replies smoothly. I could hardly say otherwise. For a moment, the Colonel cracks the slightest hint of a grin before pressing on to the next point of order. There's also the matter of the 2nd Chemical Mortar Battalion. Chemical mortars? Remind me about smoke. Want the big mortars slow us down on that hill? What about it? Nod. Chemical mortars. Smoke laid by chemical mortars is particularly thick and will heavily obscure a line of sight, but it doesn't last. The Germans won't be shy about shooting out of smoke, but it will reduce their accuracy. Out of smoke. Okay. So hitting enemy battalions, hitting enemy squads with smoke rounds messes up their shooting. Give me in-depth details about smoke. The field manual has plenty to say about smoke, namely that it should be heavy enough to completely obscure a line of sight, but smoke also dissipates. After a few minutes, it is 1/3 less heavy than before. A few minutes more, and it's another third gone. After that, well, it won't do much good at all. Okay, so it disperses over time. Smoke can only be... I'm guessing that's turn by turn. Smoke can only be produced by special units utilizing specific rounds. The chemical mortars are one such team. Others do exist, but not all artillery forces have sufficient smoke rounds on hand to saturate a target. If they do have that capacity, they will be designated as such. Lastly, smoke cuts both ways. You might be hidden from your enemy, but they're also hidden from you. If they can't fire accurately out of a cloud placed over them, your men will also fire with reduced accuracy at the target. Won't the big mortar slow us down on that hill? What about it? Nod. What about it? So, we're to brass tacks, Henshaw says, because as Lieutenant Stern could tell you, there's a lot more to using a mortar than firing it. Some commanders would prefer an outfit with longer track record. Can't say I'd agree, though. They're fools, Captain Boston says in total agreement. The guys over in the 45th say the chemical mortars worked wonders east of Kefalo. I don't want them backing my Rangers. I want them backing my Rangers. And I want them covering my dog faces, Lieutenant Heinches replies, which is why we're here. The two men glare at each other for a moment. The sergeants nearby settle in to watch. Do the mortars get a say? Sarcasm +1. I don't like seeing the two of you like this. Sarcasm -1. I don't think the army does duels anymore. Verbosity +1. Cough pointedly. Verbosity -1. Interesting. Oh, I love being the captain who never shuts up. I don't think the army does duels anymore. They both chuckle and turn toward you. I think you're right, Captain, Heinches says. Trouble is, if we get into a brawl over this, chances are neither of us will get what we want. Since Nickel Company is going to be closest to the Rangers, I hope we could all come to some agreement over the mortars. The Rangers will put the mortars from better use, gain a favor from the Rangers. Why don't we split it 50-50, acquire half the mortars, prestige -1. The Rangers are good enough to not need them. Acquire all mortars. Speech lowers cost of prestige -1. Why don't we split it 50-50? I'm not... Again, I just said I was going to try to have fewer casualties in this battle. I'm not going to give away my freaking mortars. Why don't we split it 50-50? I'll take the prestige hit. No one say no to that, Captain Boston says. We'll be working side by side after all. Ranger Captain formally salutes Heinches and then nods your way before he departs. Outside, you can hear him calling out for a runner. When Boston is gone, Heinches lets out a sigh. I worked hard to get us those extra mortars, all of them, and you just gave half of them away. But, given your formidable record, I can't exactly argue with you. Heinches peers down at the sand table again, touching a finger to the olive-green wooden blocks poised to sweep up the miniature slope, despite the mass of field gray markers facing them. That is all. Dismissed. Alright, so he doesn't like it much. But it is what it is. I don't know what lowest cost of prestige -1 was, but whatever. Your command post lies in the shadow of a lemon grove, next to the burnt-out hulk of a farmhouse. Ripe fruits hang from the branches, inviting any passers-by to grab one and take a bite. Judging by the drawn but satisfied faces of some of your men, more than one already has. A donkey appears. You will have to summon over your officers. There's planning to be done. Morris trundles past, leading a harnessed donkey away from a tank and back towards first platoon. Patterson eagerly falls in with his fellow. Captain, Morris says as he tosses out a salute and greeting. And in passing, the donkey lets out a soft bray. Hold up a moment. Question them about the donkey. No donkeys, that's an order. Skip this, the donkey goes away. I don't want to know. Trust +10, you never saw nothing about no donkey. I see you've got a volunteer here. Inquire about the donkey. I don't want to know is really funny. Getting the extra trust would be nice. But on the other hand, I want to I want to keep talking because I'm a verbose nerd. So you got a volunteer there. Inquire about the donkey. Yes, Captain, Patterson says eagerly. Another recruit, one eager to contribute to the war effort, Morris adds in. Does this donkey have a name? What do you plan to do with this animal? Make a snap decision about keeping the donkey. Does donkey have a name? Georgie, Patterson says. A good name for an ass, Morris suggests. Georgie swishes his tail back and forth. Tell me you didn't name it after General Patton. What? No, Morris replies with mock incredulity. Georgie's name is a work of fiction. Yeah, Patterson says. All resemblances to any stick-up-the-ass 3-star generals real or imagined are purely coincidental. Then he adopts Morris's same grin. Georgie flicks his ears idly as the conversation continues. What do you plan to do with this animal? I can imagine Georgie will carry things, Captain, Patterson says. He pats the beast as if it were a dog. Ammo, food, water, Morris suggests quickly. Important, warlike things. Georgie nudges at Morris's pocket. How do you intend to take care of the animal? Seems you want something from you too, Private. Decide about keeping Georgie. Seems you want something from you, Private. What? Morris asks. He looks down as the donkey continues to chew the pack. Damn it. Well, Captain, guess he'll eat cigarettes if you let him. Probably likes cigars better, Patterson odds, but maybe he's got a taste for cigs with all the rosemary around. Georgie looks your way. His ears twitch ever so slightly. How do you intend to take care of the animal? Well, between Morris and me, we'll handle the feeding fine, Patterson says. Roberts is around if we need anything more. You'll care and feed him right, sarcasm -1. You'll sing him to sleep at night, sarcasm +1. He has to be a working animal, understand? Direct. He'll crap in your tent if you let him, direct +1. This one's direct -1. You'll sing him to sleep at night, sarcasm +1. I think I'm going to go with that. We hadn't really considered that, Patterson says warily. We'd need a good tenor. Georgie looks your way. His ears twitch ever so slightly. I now know more than enough to decide about Georgie. The men and Georgie fall silent as they await your decision. He'll die at the front. Prestige +2, trust +1, no mascot events. Too much paperwork, I'll turn a blind eye. Fatigue -1, trust +5, some mascot events enabled. Keep this from me. Prestige -1, trust +5, some mascot events enabled. We'll make him our mascot. Prestige -3, trust +10, enable all mascot events. Damn the experienced replacements. I want a mascot. We'll make him our mascot. Do it. Thank you, Captain, Patterson says brightly. The ass, Georgie, will be no trouble. Naturally enough, Georgie agrees. You hear that, Georgie? Morris says as he tugs lightly on the tether. You're a Cottonbaler now. The three of them walk away with their heads held high. Excellent. That was not an optimal decision, but I have to get the mascot events. That's just fun. With things developing, you summon your officers and sergeants to pass the word about tomorrow's attack. In the fading light, you brief them about tomorrow's assault across the Zapula River and up the slopes of Hill de Marco. I am once again astounded at our regiment's confidence in our abilities, Lieutenant Dearborn drawls dryly as he examines the map. Perhaps they'll expect us to drive all the way to Messina and then walk across the straits as well. Yes, this is very bad, Lieutenant Rao says. They know their trade, Dearborn says as he slides out a pack of cigarettes with an early, easy gesture, and we know ours. Rao replies. Nowhere to go but up, Stern says. We'll need a lot of smoke to blind them with. Thompson raps his knuckles on the camp table, sending it wobbling. Not that he seems to notice. We'll do it. Gosh darn it all, smoke or no smoke. We have chemical mortar support for this. A deep patrol will find strong points in minefields. Remove fog of war, higher chance of patrol casualties. Our patrols will find a suitable assault path. Remove some fog of war, standard chance of mortar of patrol casualties. Or our patrols will focus on the river crossing. Remove little fog of war, lower chance of patrol casualties. I'm going to do the third one. I don't want to risk any extra casualties. The others nod. If the company doesn't cross the rivers, we can't ascend the ridge. Plan to execute the patrol myself. You gain experience, possible combat fatigue. Set Stern on this one. Stern gains experience. I need Dearborn on this one. Dearborn gains experience. Rao can do it. Rao gains experience. Thompson should do this. Thompson gets experience. I'm going to set Stern on this. You explain what you need of Stern. We'll make this happen, Captain, Stern promises. We'll blacken up for the night work and slip right in. Darkness falls. The patrol goes out under Stern's command. You settle in to wait for their return. At specified intervals, your two machine guns fire timid bursts of tracers up into the air. A sight visible for miles around to help the patrol triangulate the point of the river crossing. The strain builds hour by hour until at last the soft slosh of footfalls is heard in the night. The patrol have crossed the river once more, returning with their weapons unfired and their faces flushed with success. Lieutenant Stern steps over, practically covered in mud. The river's clear, Captain, he reports. The Krauts are sticking to the slopes, and though I was itching to find out why, we stayed quiet like you wanted. But they are out there, and in force. Tomorrow will be no pushover. Get some sleep. We'll cross dawn. What did it sound like? They were hacking down trees, clearing fire lanes. But there feels like there's more to it than that. The feeling isn't enough to go on. You have Stern give a full report, update the map, and then send him off to sleep if you can. Tomorrow is going to be a busy day. Hill di Marco. Before sunrise, the men of Nickel Company gather at the river. The members of the patrol are still groggy from last night's patrol of the river, but a round of coffee clears their heads and does the rest of the men good too. Thankfully, the waters have gone down in the night, and the men cross in muffled silence. Dawn has begun to lighten in the east as you wade across the river to the far bank. The high ground is bathed in gray light, but the ridge casts its protective shadow across everything for a while longer. And once they're across, your squads gather unseen. You give the order and gesture towards the ridge. Advance. The mission sees the ridge by turn 10. Turn 10! The men suffer no more than moderate casualties. All right. So this is the battlefield. We've got 4 objectives here. Smoke has been thrown. Okay. Interesting. So all this smoke is being thrown by our chemical mortars. Enemy objectives here, here, and here. This is the primary objective. This one is secondary. Mission. For a minor defeat, we need 1 objective. For a draw, we need 2 objectives. For a minor victory, we need 3. For a major victory, we need 4. For the men, I thought it said no more than moderate casualties. But I guess, because this feels like the same scale as it always is. All right. Well, we will have to see what there is to see next time, because we're actually way over time for this episode. Yeah, so I'll make a plan, and we'll get into it next time. But for now, I have had fun. I hope you all have had fun, and I will see you on the other side.